My childhood sweetheart and my older brother both fell in love with Rose, the Omega who had just sought refuge from the Northern Pack. The one who broke our engagement said, "Grace is the kind of Luna who was born to stand beside an alpha. I'm just not worthy of her." The other had forgotten our mother's dying words. "Rose has suffered so much. If I share half the love I gave you with her, that wouldn't be too much, would it?" On the day of my birthday, my mate chose to throw a party for Rose instead. On the anniversary of our mother's death, my brother was happily celebrating with Rose and her mother, helping deliver her kitten. They went with her to the Snowpine Pack to take part in the Royal Totem Insignia Design Contest and personally draped the Cloak of Honor over her shoulders. And me? I set fire to the house that held all our memories. I drank a potion bought from a witch, severed every mind link I had, and faked my death in that fire, then left the Northern Pack without a word. When news of my death reached Snowpine, those two men, who had already cast me aside, went mad with grief. They rushed back to the Northern Pack overnight and collapsed in front of the burned-down house, crying like their hearts had been ripped out. Chapter 1. This is the last time I'll ever bring up the engagement between Kyle Hansen and me. The atmosphere turned awkward in an instant. Kyle gave a look of pure disdain, and the room burst into laughter. "Come on, what is this, the Middle Ages? That childhood engagement was a joke. You seriously think it still counts?" Grace Collins, always so high and mighty, feeling insecure now, are we? I stayed silent, staring at Kyle, who looked casually indifferent. There was still a smudge of pink lipstick on his shirt collar. A sharp pain twisted in my chest. We were young and stupid back then. Of course, I said yes. Kyle gave me a mocking glance. We're adults now. No need to dig up something that ridiculous and make everyone uncomfortable. I froze, just about to speak when the door to the private room swung open. Wearing a waitress's uniform, Rose walked in, pushing a food cart to the table. She looked startled to see me. "Gracie, oh, I mean Miss Grace." Then, she turned to Kyle with a pitiful look. "I'm so sorry. I didn't mean to interrupt." Her hands trembled as she set the desserts on the table and turned to leave. Suddenly, Kyle stood up and flipped the table over in a rage. I gasped as a broken plate sliced my arm. The wound refused to close, there was clearly wolfsbane on that dish. I winced in pain. Kyle didn't even glance my way. He marched straight to Rose and yanked off the apron printed with the hotel's logo. "Rose, how many times have I told you? Stop running around doing these degrading jobs." Rose nodded, her eyes wide and her voice soft. I didn't want to cause trouble for you. You and Jones have done so much for me. I can take care of myself even just working small jobs." Kyle grabbed her hand and said. In an earnest tone, "You don't understand how much it hurts us to see you lowering yourself like this. Come back with me now. No more jobs. Ever. If anyone tries to make you a servant again, I'll destroy this place myself." Then he suddenly turned to glare at me. "And if anyone else dares treat you badly, they'll deal with me." I pressed my bleeding arm, locking eyes with him coldly. This hotel. It belonged to my family. Kyle thought I was bullying Rose, forcing her to do chores, but this was just another one of Rose's pathetic ploys. She was being spoiled to the bone by Kyle and my brother, Jones. Her bank card had more money than she could ever spend. Did she really need to work? However, it wouldn't matter even if I brought the hotel manager in to explain. Kyle only ever believed Rose. In his eyes, I was the villain, the cruel, powerful heiress using her family's influence to crush poor, delicate little Rose. Kyle wrapped his arms protectively around Rose. "Grace, you were born to stand beside an alpha. I'm not worthy of you. That damn engagement. We're done with it." Rose stood pale and trembling in his embrace. The rest of the group looked at me like I was a threat. I let out a bitter laugh. Ever since Rose's mother wrecked my parents' marriage and Rose herself stepped into what was once mine with Kyle, I'd cried, I'd fought, and I'd begged. The love that was once mine alone shifted completely to Rose and her mother. I'd never been humiliated like this in my life. However, the harder I fought to keep what was mine, the more everyone drifted to her side. Now, I felt nothing but numb. Fine. I agree with you. I nodded expressionlessly and took a few slow steps forward. Kyle instinctively pulled Rose behind him. Grace, whatever you're angry about, take it out on me. I let go of my arm. My palm was soaked in blood. Not a single person in that room cared why my wound wasn't healing. They only ever cared about Rose. Chapter 2. Rose's gaze suddenly turned firm as she broke free from Kyle's arms. Miss Grace, please don't blame Kyle for this. This is all my fault. I never should have interrupted you. 2-inch tears streamed down Rose's face as she spoke. I'll leave right away. Rose, how many times have I told you? I won't let you be mistreated, Kyle said, his heart seeming to ache as he pulled her back into his arms and wiped her tears tenderly. A moment later, the look Kyle gave me held only disgust. Grace, no matter how much you cling to me, I cut him off coldly. Fine, let's dissolve the bond. Just return the keepsake. Kyle froze. What keepsake? I raised my hand and took off the emerald ring. It was a family heirloom, a gift from Kyle's mother after we sealed our engagement. My mother had given him something even more precious, an antique pocket watch once owned by the first Wolf King. It carried deep symbolic meaning. The ring goes back to you. The watch comes back to me. Kyle's expression stiffened. His eyes fell on the ring in my palm. I hadn't taken it off once since 16. Everyone in the pack knew how much I treasured it. You think I'd keep dragging around this worthless trinket like you? He snatched the ring from my hand. Then, with one last icy glance, he said, I'll find the watch and return it. After that, we're even. Back at the villa, my brother, Jones, was waiting in the living room. Grace, finally. Sign these for me. He handed me a thick stack of documents. I'm planning to transfer these commercial properties to Rose so she can live off the rent. She's been alone her whole life. Now that she's part of the family, she deserves some peace. I glanced at the paperwork. Those shops. They were my mother's dowry, passed down through generations on her side. I picked up the stack and tore it to pieces. Grace. Don't go too far. Jones gritted his teeth, glaring at me. Last time, Rose was poisoned with silver moon herb because of your negligence. I covered for you. She suffered so much. This is the least we can do to make up for it. Did you forget what Mom said on her deathbed? He suddenly choked on his words. In her final moments, our mother made him promise, to protect me always, to guard what was mine, and to never let harm come my way. I remember. But now Rose is my sister too. If I split the love meant for you and give half to her, that's not unreasonable, is it? Grace, stop being so selfish. Jones sighed. You should learn from Rose. Look how kind and thoughtful she is. Let out a bitter laugh. Listen to me, Jones. You're not using Mom's inheritance to curry favor with Rose. If you want to shower her with gifts, go ahead and use Dad's side of the family fortune. I won't stop you. Jones mumbled something under his breath. I tossed the shredded documents in the trash and headed upstairs. Don't forget, Mom's death anniversary is in a few days. Of course not, Jones said awkwardly. You get some rest. I've got work to do. I didn't respond. That night, I stayed up cleaning the house, clearing away everything tied to the memories between the three of us. Photos were burned. What could be thrown out was tossed. What could be given away, I packed and sent to the orphanage. All that remained was this house, a home soaked in memories. It was the only asset my father had when he chose to bond with my mother. After her death, neither my brother nor I could bring ourselves to move. My father had left to live with Rose's mother. Jones came home less and less. Kyle used to visit me every day. Now, even he was gone. I fell asleep on the rooftop, clutching a photo of Mom, my tears finally pulling me under. The day after my birthday was the anniversary of my mother's death. She had been terminally ill but held on just long enough to see me through one more birthday before she passed. I'd cried my heart out back then. Kyle stayed by my side day and night, afraid I'd break down. He never missed a single birthday since. Until this year. 8 years passed. In the blink of an eye, and this was the first year he didn't show up. Alas, I no longer cared. The night of my birthday, Rose's social feed lit up like fireworks. Couldn't think of a reason to celebrate, so Kyle said, "Let's throw a party for my kitten's birthday." Ha ha ha. In fact, he just wanted an excuse to have cake. There she was, beaming beside an expensive two-tier cake, a champagne tower gleaming, and flowers, balloons, and gifts all around her. She looked up at Kyle with eyes full of affection. He smiled back, soft and gentle, like they were made for each other. Flipping my phone face down on the table, I clasped my hands together, closed my eyes, and made a wish against the candlelight. "Mom, I miss you so much. Please watch over me. Let everything go smoothly from now on. And please, let these people stay the hell out of my life." Chapter 3. It was Mom's death anniversary. I waited at her grave for a long time. Only a few bouquets of flowers arrived, sent by Dad's assistant. Jones had promised he wouldn't forget, but he never showed up. I picked up my phone and called him. It took over 10 tries before someone finally answered. It was Rose's mother. "Oh, Grace. Jones is busy helping Rose right now. Did you need something? Today is my mother's death anniversary." "Oh no, your mom's day we completely forgot. How awful of us. Our little kitten just gave birth today. Jones and Rose were helping her through labor. We got so caught up in it that we forgot all about the important stuff. Even if we leave now, we probably won't make it in time. What should we do? Who's on the phone?" "It's Grace. She sounds upset. You'd better talk to her." "Hey, Grace." Jones's voice finally came through. I hung up immediately and blocked his number. The photo on Mom's headstone still smiled at me, kind and gentle as ever. It was early May. The world around me was bursting with life, but I knelt there, arms wrapped around her grave, frozen to the core. "It's okay, Mom. I'll never forget you. I promise." After taking care of some paperwork, I headed back to the little villa. On the way, I ran into the three of them, Kyle, Jones, and Rose. Jones and Kyle flanked Rose on either side, walking like her personal bodyguards. She was holding a huge bouquet of flowers and a pile of gifts, smiling sweetly. When they saw me, Jones was the first to speak. "Grace, look how amazing Rose is." Her totem design got full endorsement from the Royal Werewolf Court. Rose gave a modest, bashful little smile. "I just wanted to be as good as Gracie, that's all." Kyle held up her designs, scoffing at me. "Trying to compare yourself to her? She's a top university grad, and even she didn't create anything noteworthy. When it comes to design, Rose, you're the one with real talent. Don't lower yourself." My gaze caught on the patterns in the design. I snatched the papers from his hands without thinking. They were nearly identical to my drafts. Rose had stolen my work, and won with it. You plagiarized me. Rose, how shameless can you be? I was shaking with rage, my entire body trembling. I wanted to slap her. Just as I raised my hand, Kyle shoved me to the ground. I fell hard, completely humiliated. Grace, stop making a scene. I'm done putting up with your spoiled tantrums. Rose won on her own merit. You claim she stole from you. Where's your proof? You're just jealous she's better than you. Gracie, I swear I didn't copy your designs. You've never liked me. When would I even have gotten the chance to see your drafts? Rose burst into tears and ran into Kyle's arms. I turned sharply to look at Jones. My designs had always been kept in the study. Only one person besides me had access, Jones. He averted his eyes. You're hopeless, Grace. Kyle looked down on me, full of contempt. As he spoke, the gold pocket watch fell from his pocket, landing beside me with a soft clink. I must have been blind to ever fall for someone like you. I looked up, sarcasm burning in my eyes, just about to snap back when something caught my eye. Rose's wrist. Clinging to Kyle's arm, she wore a ruby bracelet shaped like a rose. My mother's bracelet. The one she left me on her deathbed. Jones. You gave her Mom's bracelet. My voice shook, eyes red with fury as I pointed at Rose. Jones pressed his lips together, flustered. Grace, listen, Rose sobbed and quickly reached to remove the bracelet. I'm sorry, I didn't know it was your mother's. I'll give it back right now. Wept as she fumbled at the clasp, but Jones couldn't bear to see her upset. Rose, you don't have to give it back. I gave it to you. Then he turned to me, his voice hard. Mom's gone. If you keep that bracelet, you'll just be haunted by grief. Rose likes it, so just let her have it. I'll get you a nicer one tomorrow. A stabbing pain twisted through my chest. My voice trembled as I said, that bracelet was Mom's last gift to me. Jones, it's not yours to give. I'd rather destroy it than let some homewrecker's daughter wear it. Jones flushed with shame and anger. Grace, be reasonable. Rose did nothing wrong. Chapter 4. What happened between the last generation has nothing to do with her. Kyle pulled the sobbing Rose tightly into his arms. Watch your words, Grace. Don't take it too far. It's just a stupid bracelet. Rose, let's give it back to her. He yanked the bracelet off her wrist and threw it at me with force. Come on. I'll buy you a better, more expensive one right now. Jones glanced at me and sighed. Grace, why do you always have to be so difficult? Do you really have to make everything so unbearable for everyone? Rose is such a gentle girl. Why can't you just accept her? You're both women. Why can't you be more like her, kind, sweet? And about the design contest, Grace, you already have so much. Whether you win that award or not doesn't matter to you. Rose is different. She needs it. To prove herself. To have a place in this family. To be slowly accepted by Kyle's family. He reached out, trying to help me up. Grace, get away from me. I slapped his hand away and let out a cold laugh. Brother. It would be the last time I ever called him that. I stared him dead in the eyes. You'll get what's coming to you. I swear it. Jones frowned and looked away. Grace, I'll make it up to you somehow, he mumbled, before turning and walking away to catch up with Kyle and Rose. I stood up slowly and picked up the bracelet from the ground, pressing it to my chest and feeling numb. I couldn't cry anymore. I'd moved past grief into numbness. My tears were gone. The forecast warned of rising temperatures. The dry heat could lead to fires, they said. That night, I tossed postcard after postcard into the fire, then picked up the old photo albums. Years of memories, me, Kyle, and Jones. All those smiling faces, captured in frame after frame. I watched them curl and blacken in the flames. Our laughter burned to ash. The firelight flickered in my eyes as a gust of wind scattered the postcards. On them was faded handwriting. From Jones, I will always protect my little Grace. She's the best sister in the world. No one is allowed to bully her. From Kyle, when I grow up, I'll be Grace's mate. We'll have 2 babies. A boy named Jack and a girl named Lucy. They had sworn it, promised I was more important than their lives. That they would never betray me. Time had weathered the postcards. The ink had started to fade, just like the promises they once made. I watched as the burning cards and photos drifted into the sky. The fire grew stronger, catching the curtains and the closet. Thick smoke rolled through the room. My face turned flushed from the heat. Tears streamed down my cheeks. Then, my phone rang. It was Kyle. I didn't answer. Jones called next. I declined that too. Then, Kyle texted me. Grace, no matter what, Rose is still your sister. She's always hoped to earn your approval. She's about to go on stage and accept her award. Please come wish her well. I'll buy you some gifts you like tomorrow and bring them when I get back. Just be more mature, okay? Jones messaged me right after that. Grace, stop being so moody. I'll make it up to you. As for Mom's bracelet, I'll have one made exactly the same. Please forgive me. I stared at the screen and laughed bitterly. I replied to both of them. To Kyle, she doesn't deserve my blessing. The moon goddess will send her and her mother straight to hell. To Jones, aren't you afraid Mom's watching from the other side, seeing the garbage you've done and cursing you with karma? Then, I yanked out the SIM card and tossed it into the fire. I uncorked the entire bottle of potion I'd gotten from the witch and drank it all in one go. My chest flared with searing pain, and my wolf let out a howl of anguish. I severed every mind link I had with them. Taking one last look at the villa that held all our memories, I turned, walked away, and never looked back. Staying for here. The dry, hot wind fed the flames until the roaring fire swallowed the entire villa whole. The house that once held our laughter and love was now reduced to ashes and ruin. Chapter 5. At the Snowpine Pack Awards ceremony, Rose stood backstage in a custom designer gown, ready to walk on stage to accept her award. Kyle's phone rang. Annoyed, he rejected the call without even glancing at the phone. A new message popped up on the screen, "Call me back immediately. Something serious has happened to Grace." The memory of Grace's last hateful message still lingered in his mind, and it only deepened his resentment. Can she go one damn day without causing trouble? He didn't even consider calling back. He assumed Grace was just trying to make a scene and ruin Rose's moment. The phone rang again. It was the same number. Kyle, who was even more irritated, declined it again. Rose looked up at him nervously. Kyle, I'm really nervous. Kyle gave her a reassuring smile. Relax. I'll be right here watching you from the crowd. Rose's name was called. It was time. Kyle personally escorted her on stage, guiding her by the arm. With a gentle smile, Rose basked in the spotlight. Kyle's phone buzzed again. He picked up this time. His friend's voice was panicked. Kyle, Grace is really in trouble. Her villa caught fire. It's massive, completely out of control. The whole place is destroyed. She was inside. There's been no sign of her. The police say she's probably, Kyle scoffed. Tell Grace to stop with the fake drama. I'm not falling for it. Then, he hung up and turned off his phone altogether. Moments later, Jones's phone started ringing. It was the same caller. He reached for it, but Kyle snatched it and hit decline. It's just Grace pulling another stunt. Let's focus on Rose's moment first. Jones frowned. What the hell is Grace trying to pull now? She wants to trick us into going back. She's jealous we're here supporting Rose and wants to ruin it for her. Jones sighed and switched off his phone. She's getting out of hand. We've spoiled her too much. Not this time. Zach Pilsner, who was standing nearby, smirked. Should have cut her off long ago. Kyle and Jones clapped loudly, their eyes never leaving Rose. In the sea of applause, Rose smiled sweetly and looked down at the two of them. I want to give special thanks to my senior and my brother, she said tearfully. Without them, I wouldn't be here today. The two men below watched her with soft, doting expressions as if she were their entire world. After the ceremony, Kyle and Jones took Rose shopping and on a short vacation to celebrate her victory. Later that day, Rose recalled the phone call. Was that Gracie calling earlier? Ignore her, Kyle replied flatly. It's just another one of her stunts. What, set a fire now just to scare us? Rose lowered her eyes. She's not that bad. Maybe she just wanted your attention. It's all my fault. If you weren't spending time with me, she wouldn't be acting out to get noticed. Maybe we should go check on her. If she yells at me, I'll just put up with it. Tears welled up in Rose's eyes again. Kyle pulled her into his arms, heart aching. Rose, you're too pure. That's why she takes advantage of you. Jones nodded. Grace is just spoiled. Don't let her get to you. Just then, Jones's phone rang again. This time, it was the police. Kyle heard the introduction and rolled his eyes. Now she's hiring fake cops. What's next? However, the voice on the other end was firm and official. Badge ID 007XXXX. Grace Collins' villa caught fire earlier today. Surveillance shows she remained inside until the structure collapsed. Only a few personal effects have been recovered from the scene. We believe they belong to Miss Collins. Kyle's face twisted in irritation. Tell Grace that playing dead won't work on me. He grabbed the phone from Jones, blocked the number, and tossed it aside. A spoiled brat like Grace. There's no way she'd ever actually let herself die. Bodies had been found, but surveillance showed no one escaping the building. Preliminary assessment, no survivors. Kyle stared at the screen, frozen. Smile for me, Kyle. Rose leaned in sweetly, trying to take a selfie with him. Kyle gently pulled her close by the shoulders, forcing a soft smile for the camera. Take a look. Did it come out well? Rose turned her face toward him, and her soft lips grazed the edge of his ear. Kyle's breath caught as he held the back of her neck. The tension between them spiked, and then they kissed. Back in the villa, Jones sat on the couch, clutching his phone while hesitating. He finally dialed Grace's number. The number you have dialed is not available. He tried again. And again. No answer. That's when it hit him. She'd blocked him. Furious, Jones threw the phone onto the couch, but the call, and the news report, gnawed at him. Still, he remembered all the drama Grace had stirred in recent days. His face darkened again. If they gave in this time, she'd just come back worse than ever. The two men stayed on the island with Rose, carefree, for over 2 full weeks. As soon as they returned, Kyle took Rose straight to meet his parents. His mother, Mrs. Hanson, was seated on the sofa in the grand living room. She didn't even lift her eyes to acknowledge Rose's cheerful greeting. She turned straight to Kyle. I'm truly disappointed in you. Grace just suffered a terrible accident, and you walk in here holding the hand of her father's illegitimate daughter? You two were childhood sweethearts. How could you be so heartless? Mrs. Hanson had once been best friends with Grace's mom. She had treated Grace like her own daughter. Annoyed, Kyle comforted the tearful Rose and snapped back, "Mom, Grace staged all of that. It was fake. She set the fire for attention. She's so pampered. There's no way she'd actually kill herself." His mother shook her head and sighed deeply. "You don't even believe me now. Fine. At least, believe the police. You and Jones go to the station. They've asked someone to come identify Grace's personal effects. See for yourself if she's really gone." A flicker of doubt flashed through Kyle's eyes, but his voice remained firm. "This is just another ploy to get us to show up." Rose finally spoke in a timid voice, "Mrs. Hanson, you've misunderstood. Gracie is always teasing them, so they don't take her seriously anymore." Mrs. Hanson said sharply, "And how would you know unless you go see for yourself?" Kyle's chest rose and fell with intensity. "Fine. I'll go. Let's see what kind of trick she's trying to pull this time." He turned on his heel and stormed out of the house, completely forgetting Rose. Gasping, she chased after him and tugged at his arm to stop him. Kyle finally froze. A strange panic stirred in his chest. All he could see in his mind was the image of the burning ruins. The weight of it all pressed down on him until he couldn't breathe. Chapter 7. On the road, Kyle's expression was stormy. "We're sorry. The number you're calling is currently unavailable." He called Jones again and again, but there was still no answer. Beside him, Rose noticed Kyle hadn't looked at her even once since they got in the car. She pretended to bump her head lightly when the car braked and let out a soft whimper. Kyle didn't even glance her way. Frustrated by the silence and the calls going nowhere, Kyle shouted at the driver, "Step on it." The car sped down the road. Rose tugged timidly at his sleeve. "Kyle, you're scaring me." In the past, Kyle would have pulled her into his arms right away, comforting her. Now, he just shot her a sidelong glance, then furrowed his brows even deeper. Rose's heart started to flutter in panic. "Kyle, do you really think something happened to Gracie? She was always so scared of pain, and she cared so much about her looks." Kyle let out a cold snort. "Exactly. She couldn't handle the slightest discomfort. She's definitely faking it to mess with me again." Rose leaned gently against him, her voice like honey. "Don't be mad at her. It's my fault. She only hates me because she thinks I stole you and Jones away." Kyle remained silent, his face like ice. Rose had no choice but to shut her mouth. The car slammed to a screeching stop. Kyle stepped out and froze. He couldn't believe his eyes. The once familiar place from all his memories was now a pile of ashes. The building was gone. There was nothing but scorched ruins. All their memories, reduced to dust. The wreckage, Jones was on his knees, wild-eyed, as he clawed through the rubble like a madman, searching for something, anything. Kyle's mind flashed back to the news alert. The panicked phone call from his friend. It was all real. Even the call from the police was real. His vision blurred. He stumbled back a few steps. What happened? The last time I was here, everything was fine. How could it end like this? Grace didn't lie, the fire was real. Everything's gone. Jones's bloodshot eyes locked onto Kyle as he charged forward and punched him, hard, right across the face. Kyle staggered, falling to the ground. Rose screamed and ran toward him, but Jones shoved her aside. Both men were trembling with rage. Then, they transformed. Two massive wolves snarled and lunged, brawling in the ashes. Ash and soot clouded the air as the wolves clashed, fangs bared, fury unleashed. they didn't stop until they were completely spent. Finally, they collapsed apart, panting, scorched and scraped. Jones slumped down, face ashen, despair written in every line on his face. How could I have been so blind, believing your damn lies? Why didn't I answer that call that day? If I'd just answered, I could have come back in time. Grace is still in there. I know it. I can dig her out. I have to. He crawled forward again, clawing at the rubble with bare, bloody hands. Kyle spat out blood, stood up shakily, and turned to leave. There's no body. She's not dead. Grace is mad, that's all. She burned the house to scare us. Jones's lifeless eyes lit up with a faint spark of hope. You're right. Grace isn't dead. We'll find her. Now. Let's go. He scrambled to his feet and ran after Kyle. Kyle! Jones! Wait, Rose tried to follow but misstepped on the charred remains. Her ankle twisted, and she fell with a cry. Unfortunately, neither of them looked back. They simply told the assistant, "Take Rose to the hospital." Immediately, 2 cars sped off, vanishing in a blink. Chapter 8. The 2 of them rushed to the police station. As family, Jones requested to view the surveillance footage. After watching it in full, the officers handed over Grace's personal effects. There's a very high chance Miss Collins perished in the fire. These are some of the items recovered from the scene. Inside the evidence bag were a rose-shaped ruby and a twisted, deformed pocket watch. The ruby matched exactly the one from the bracelet Grace's mother had left her. These were Grace's most treasured items, the watch and her bracelet. Jones felt like his own throat had been scorched in the fire. His voice was cracked and hoarse. A wave of overwhelming regret crashed over him, burying him completely. Kyle's world tilted. The room spun. His vision went white, and he nearly passed out. When Rose arrived, Kyle was already on the verge of collapse. Kyle, Grace, Kyle whipped his head toward her, eyes bloodshot, his expression terrifying. Rose froze, tears welling. Kyle, what's wrong? His voice came out like a snarl, "It's all your fault. Grace wouldn't have broken like this if not for you. Before you showed up, the 3 of us were inseparable. You kept playing the helpless little victim, and that's what drove a wedge between us. Rose, I'll never forgive you. I know you're hurting because of what happened to Grace." Rose tried to play her old card, teary and soft-spoken, but this time, Kyle shoved her away. Hard. Get out of my sight. Rose looked at Jones with watery eyes, but he only glared at her, evidently cold and disgusted. She collapsed to the ground, feeling utterly abandoned. Meanwhile, I had settled in a remote southeastern pack. Life here moved slowly, and the scenery was stunning. Every day, I woke naturally to the rising sun, taking my time to soak in the peaceful beauty of the mountains and forests. At home, I had the freedom and energy to immerse myself in what I loved. Totem design inspiration came to me easily now, flowing without pressure. I'd left all my past troubles behind, fully emptied myself of grief and bitterness. Sometimes, I'd catch bits of news from my old life, such as the official news coverage of my death, or how Jones and Kyle turned on Rose and her mother, showing them no mercy. Jones himself released a video revealing that Rose's award-winning design had been plagiarized from mine, with hard evidence to back it up. Rose, who had once basked in praise and fame, was now a national disgrace. The backlash was instant and brutal. Kyle and Jones filed legal motions to reclaim every expensive gift they'd ever given her. News of Rose being a love child, and her mother being a homewrecker, spread like wildfire. However, none of that mattered to me anymore. Under the warm sun, I embraced my new life. A month later, I landed a job at a new company. The team was warm and welcoming. The boss, who was a stylish, no-nonsense businesswoman named Linda Dunnell, taught me a great deal. Slowly, I began to carve out a place for myself. 2 years flew by. I made new friends. There were even men who pursued me, but I wasn't interested in dating, not yet. Instead, I signed up for the Royal Totem Design Competition, one of the most prestigious events in the entire werewolf world. I poured my heart into the preparations. One day, Linda came to me with a proposal. "We're planning a partnership with another company," she said. "You're the best fit for the trip. You understand their culture and can communicate with them more smoothly." Linda handed me the contract. I hesitated. What if I mess up something this important? Because that pack was where Kyle and Jones lived. I didn't want to set foot there again. I didn't want the smallest chance of seeing them. "I really don't think I'm the right person for this," Linda gave me a calm, encouraging smile. "The travel list is already confirmed. I'll be going with you. Don't worry. Nothing will go wrong." Chapter 9. I had no choice but to agree, albeit reluctantly. Night, to make sure I didn't accidentally run into those two, I registered a new account and started browsing internal pack group chats. I wasn't interested in the lavish lives of the young elites. I went straight to the search bar and typed in their names. In the 2 years since I disappeared, Kyle had completely destroyed Rose's reputation, and in the process, ruined his own as well. About a year and a half ago, Rose became pregnant with his child and appeared on camera, crying in front of the media. The scandal wrecked Kyle's family's reputation. Less than a month later, Rose was reportedly hit by a car. She lost the baby. Not long after, Rose and her mother were kicked out by Kyle's paternal family. They kept a low profile after that, but of course, Kyle and Jones wouldn't leave them alone. Life only got harder for the mother-daughter pair. From the chat logs, I gathered that Kyle was currently on a business trip in Rockwolf territory, and Jones's whereabouts were unknown. That was good news. 5 days later, I set off with Linda and 2 other colleagues. We'd only be gone for a week. Surely, I wouldn't be so unlucky as to cross paths with them. Unless work required it, I stayed in the hotel at all times. The night before our departure, I attended a client appreciation dinner at a luxury hotel. Throughout the evening, I had the creeping sensation that someone was watching me. Every time I looked over my shoulder, there was no one there. A strange unease settled in my chest. I excused myself to the restroom, grabbed my bag, and prepared to slip out quietly. I deliberately headed for the back exit. Suddenly, I heard footsteps behind me. Fast. Urgent. Familiar. Oddly, I felt calm. Then, I heard a trembling voice behind me. Soft. Careful. Kyle. Grace, is that you? I kept scrolling through my phone, pretending I hadn't heard him. He stepped in front of me, blocking my path. His eyes stared wide at me, stunned. Grace, I knew it. It's really you. I looked up with an unreadable expression. A flicker of polite confusion on my face. Excuse me, are you speaking to me? It had been nearly 2 years. I'd chopped off my long hair and dyed it red. My makeup, my style, my whole aura, were completely transformed. Kyle's eyes turned red. Grace, I know you're still angry at me. I did those awful things because of Rose and her manipulations. I hurt you, and I'm sorry. I truly am. Please, I know I was wrong. Rose's schemes had never been clever. Frankly, most of them were clumsy and obvious, but Kyle and Jones had believed her without hesitation. Every single time. I had tried, again and again, to make peace. All it ever earned me was deeper betrayal. The man I loved and the brother I once adored both chose to stand with Rose. Her mother was the very woman who destroyed my parents' marriage. Nevertheless, they were outsiders. The ones who truly broke me were Kyle, my childhood best friend, and Jones, my own flesh and blood. The people closest to me had turned their blades to my heart. They didn't hesitate or miss. I had bled for a long, long time. 2 years had passed. The wounds had closed, but the scars remained. The pain, gone. The past, just smoke. And the people who once mattered most were now nothing more than ghosts passing through my story. They would never move me again. Chapter 10. I had no choice but to call the police. After all this time, Kyle looked utterly defeated. You'd think that without me, the annoying one, gone, he'd still be deep in love with Rose. Funny. Turned out I still held a place in his heart. Not that I cared anymore. The police arrived quickly. This man has mistaken me for someone else and won't stop following me. I gave them a helpless smile and handed over my ID. My name is Karina. Not Grace. Kyle stared at the ID but still refused to believe it. No. You're Grace. We grew up together. I couldn't possibly mistake you. Do you have proof? I asked calmly. He was speechless. He didn't even have a single photo of me anymore. I had made sure of that. Before I left, I went to him and collected every picture and item from our past. I left nothing behind. I let out a cold laugh. Look at you. No proof, no facts. And yet you still insist I'm someone you once knew. Isn't that pathetic? Kyle's expression collapsed. I know you resent me, he whispered. But it's okay. I'll make it up to you. I had that house rebuilt. It looks exactly like the original. If you'd like, I can take you there right now. Not wanting to hear another word, I asked the police to escort me back to my hotel. There, I explained everything to Linda, including why I'd suddenly disappeared from the banquet. Before long, someone knocked at the door. Hard. I opened it. Of course, it was Kyle. His clothes were wrinkled, and dark circles were etched under his eyes. When he saw me, his face lit up with a pathetic flicker of hope. Grace. I told you, I'm not Grace. My tone was cool. If you've got time to waste chasing me, maybe use it to go find the real Grace. I stepped past him and walked away. He followed. Grace, just give me a few hours. Rose and her mother will kneel in front of you and apologize by themselves. They'd been hiding out in the slums. With no family protection, they'd fallen hard. They were so broke that they had to survive on payday loans. I didn't answer and kept walking toward the lobby to meet my team. Kyle trailed me at a distance. Who's the handsome guy following you? Linda asked. I glanced at my phone. No idea. At the airport, I was stopped at the gate. There was a problem with my ticket, so I couldn't board. I wasn't surprised. Kyle would never let me go so easily. I told Linda and the others to go ahead and that I'd stay behind to resolve the issue. As I waited with my suitcase, Kyle showed up. The early spring wind was biting cold. He stood tall in a charcoal overcoat, his presence stark against the crowd. He looked at me like a lost soul. I curled a finger, beckoning to him. His face lit up like a child, and he hurried over. Grace. You messed with my flight, didn't you? I did, he admitted without shame. I couldn't let you leave again. I stared at him, my voice level as I said, do you know why I left in the first place? Because you and Jones no longer have anything to do with me. To me, the two of you don't even qualify as strangers anymore. Panic crept into Kyle's eyes. I know I hurt you. I want to make things right. Please, Grace. Just one more chance. His voice trembled, there was none of the arrogance he used to carry. I looked him in the eye. It wasn't Rose's fault. Not entirely. You assumed I'd always stay because I made you my whole world. But thankfully, you two cut deep enough to teach me that love shouldn't cost me my soul. You broke me. Over and over. Until there was nothing left to break. Kyle turned pale. His eyes turned red. Grace, don't call me that. It makes my skin crawl. He looked down, unable to meet my gaze. Jones is on his way. Please, just let him see you one last time. I just want to leave. And never see either of you again. Back at the hotel, Jones arrived before I could even settle in. He held a thick folder in trembling hands. His eyes turned red the moment he saw me. Sis, I've taken everything I gave to Rose back. All of it. Just sign these, and it's yours again. His voice cracked. His fingers shook as he held out the papers. I know I don't deserve your forgiveness, but please. Just give me one chance to make this right. However, I had made peace. No matter how he begged, I wasn't going back. It had cost me everything, my heart, my sanity. It nearly killed me. I looked at them both. I won't forgive you. But I won't take revenge either. Kyle, Jones, this is the last time I'll say this. I don't want your compensation. I don't need it. Stay out of my life. Jones opened his mouth, but said nothing. He knew me too well. If I'd screamed at him, cursed him, hit him even, he might have believed there was still a chance. However, I was calm and detached. I didn't raise my voice or blame anyone. That was how he knew that I meant every word and that I was never coming back. Chapter 11. Kyle's men brought Rose and her mother before me. The woman in front of me had a bare face, deep lines at the corners of her eyes, and silver streaks at her temples. She looked like an old lady now. Rose was haggard and lifeless, her former delicate beauty long gone. They'd clearly been through hell. Seeing them like this, I felt satisfied, but the satisfaction came with a strange hollowness. Once upon a time, Kyle and Jones had spoiled Rose beyond measure. They adored her mother as if she were royalty. Because of their blind favoritism, I suffered all those years. But the moment I left, they turned on Rose and her mother, blaming everything on them. Their love and their hatred were so cheap, so fickle. Yes, I hated Rose and her mother. I looked down on them with absolute contempt. However, I despised Kyle and Jones even more. Rose and her mother were simply selfish, petty, and cruel. Kyle and Jones. They were fools, arrogant, destructive fools who enabled everything. I didn't want to look at Rose's miserable face, and I didn't want to see them anymore either. You wanted me to see this. I've seen it. Can I go now? Jones looked at me, hollow and broken. Kyle waved his hand, motioning for the two women to be taken away. He gave me a bitter smile. Even if you hate me, even if you loathe me, I won't let you leave again. They forced me to stay and brought me back to the hotel. What followed were endless attempts to win me over, sweet words, gifts, and gestures. Nonetheless, I said nothing. I didn't even eat. Eventually, they gave in and let me go. After 2 weeks, I boarded my flight home. I knew they were on that plane too. Back home, I slept better than I had in years. When I woke, I found out the neighbors next door had changed. No surprise, Kyle and Jones had moved in. From that day on, we ran into each other often. One night, walking home from work, I saw Kyle standing alone under a streetlight. He looked hollow, like someone left behind by the world. When he saw me, he straightened his back and forced a smile. Grace, you're back. I ignored him. He stepped in front of me, opening a velvet jewelry box. I made this for you myself. It's your favorite, Ruby. It was a beautiful necklace with a rose-shaped pendant glowing crimson under the light. His hands were covered in fresh cuts. I glanced at them, then looked away. I don't want it. Grace, what do I have to do for you to forgive me? His voice cracked, desperate. I turned to him, my eyes sharp. You want forgiveness? Then disappear. Grace, how can you be so heartless? I let out a short laugh and walked away without looking back. After that day, Kyle stopped showing up. Finally, I had peace again. I poured myself into the competition, working non-stop on my totem designs. After submitting my semi-final piece, I received news that I'd made it to the finals. To celebrate, I invited Linda and a few colleagues to my home for dinner. We were laughing over wine and food when the doorbell rang. It was Jones. He handed me a bento box. I pre-ordered this from that high-end restaurant. All your favorites. How many times do I have to say it? I cut him off. I don't need anything from you. Let's stop torturing each other. Jones gave a bitter smile. Grace, no matter what I do, you're never going to forgive me, are you? It's all in the past. We should move forward, right? I looked at him coldly. Are you going to Mom's memorial next month? He asked. I paused. That year, 2 years ago, I had gone. I'd called him, but he had chosen to stay with Rose and her mother to deliver her pet's kittens rather than see his mother's grave. Only I had knelt alone, holding her tombstone, mourning her. Even after leaving home, I made it a point to honor her. And this year, of course, I'd go. I shook my head. Don't say that to me. Say it to Mom. Jones murmured another apology and left, shoulders slumped, still holding the food. Another admirer? Linda asked, watching his back. No. Just someone I used to know. She didn't press further, and we went back to discussing the final competition. The day of the finals, I wore a champagne gown and sat quietly in the audience. Dressed in a formal suit, Jones was also seated below. Kyle didn't show up. When they called my name, thunderous applause erupted. I stood up, calm and proud, and stepped onto the stage. This trophy should have been mine 2 years ago. I thanked my colleagues and Linda for believing in me, and my mother in heaven. I said nothing about Jones. As I stepped off the stage, Jones rushed toward me. Grace, Rose stabbed Kyle. He's badly hurt. Don't you want to go see him? Is he dead? No. But it's serious. I'm not a doctor. I wouldn't be of any use. Jones tried to say more, but I turned and walked toward the friends cheering for me. He stood there frozen, watching me walk away. I was confident, composed, and radiant. In that moment, he finally understood that he had lost me for good. Chapter 12. On the day of Mom's death anniversary, Jones arrived early with a car to pick me up and take me to her grave. He'd brought piles of offerings and fresh flowers, clearly trying to make up for missing the date 2 years ago. On the headstone, Mom's smile was as gentle as ever. I placed my trophy in front of the grave and chatted with her like I always did about work, life, and the weather. Jones stood nearby, silent the whole time. When it was time to leave, I couldn't help but cry. With red eyes, Jones turned to me and asked, Sis, no matter how much we try to make it up to you, you'll never forgive us, will you? I wiped away my tears and answered softly, as long as you don't interfere in my life again, consider it forgiven. I would never forget the pain they caused me. We could never go back to how things were. The wounds had healed, but the scars remained. I didn't want to spend my life bound by resentment. Jones's last shred of hope crumbled. He smiled bitterly. All right. I'll let Kyle know what you said. His voice trembled as he added, I'll move out of next door. I won't bother you anymore. Good. Will you ever come back? For now. No. I have no reason to. Except for Mom, I had nothing left tying me here. The next morning at the airport, I saw Kyle in a wheelchair, his waist wrapped in gauze. Rose had stabbed him. The wound wasn't fatal, but the damage to his kidneys meant he might never have children again. Grace, he wore a hospital gown under a coat, looking worn and hollow. I didn't stop. Kyle ordered his aide to push faster and blocked my path. Grace, please just let me say one last thing. I promise I won't chase you again. I paused. Then, make sure you keep that promise. Jones told me what you said, he murmured. Grace, is there really no way you'll ever give me another chance? None, I said plainly. I hope we never meet again. Kyle looked stunned, eyes filling with pain. He nodded slowly. All right, I promise. I'll never bother you again. Can I hug you one last time? No. My voice was cold. This is the end. Let's leave it that way. I turned and boarded my plane. Back at work, I threw myself into my projects. With awards piling up, promotions and raises followed. My life grew fuller, busier, and more focused. A few weeks later, Jones finally moved out. Soon after, a new neighbor moved in. It was a young man named Edric Boone. He was handsome, sunny, and full of life. We had the same work schedule, so we ran into each other often. Months later, he confessed his feelings to me. At first, I said no, but he never pressured me. He gave me space and never made me uncomfortable. I began to enjoy his company, his warmth, and his calm. 2 more years passed. Through Jones, I later learned Rose's mother had died last month. Rose herself had been sentenced to 9 years in prison for attempted murder. She was bullied mercilessly behind bars. Jones said many things, but he never once mentioned Kyle. From the news, I found out Kyle had fallen into alcoholism. A drunk driving accident left him in a vegetative state. Still, none of it mattered anymore. As Thanksgiving approached, Jones called me again, his voice full of hope. Grace, will you come home for the holiday? No. I'm happy where I am. I worked hard and earned trophy after trophy. Right now, my only pursuit was fulfilling my own worth. That afternoon, I walked along a quiet seaside boardwalk, the golden sun warming my skin. Ahead, Edric stood in silhouette, the sunlight painting his hair with soft gold. He turned, smiling with eyes full of affection. My heart skipped a beat. He walked toward me slowly, and in his hands, there lay a small velvet box. Inside was a ring, its pattern identical to one of my own designs. My name was engraved inside. I lifted my hand and let him slip it on. Then, I looked up at him with a smile, sweet and certain. Maybe falling in love again wasn't such a bad idea after all.